I met Josh through Aaron, actually, because those two had been friends since, what, high school? Younger?
I mean,
middle school, I think. I think we originally met through church.
Well, I say, yeah, we knew each other at church. I mean, since kindergarten,
Yes,
for sure.
yes, yes.
Well, you went to school with me in kindergarten, then left. Like, I don't know, man. You just left.
I left. I just
You packed your bags and went on the journey?
Yeah.
Thought you were Bilbo Baggins?
Thought you spot the height.
Oh, we miss and love Josh, even though he's not here. Don't worry, we'll have him back again, and that'll consume another like 6 weeks of just one episode of Josh in his Joshiness.
Ranting.
Which is fine. We love him, and he's always welcome back. Yeah, just let me know ahead of time so I know to only choose one topic. Because that's what it ends up happening. But it is what it is. Welcome to another week. This week we're talking about not the TV show Community, but Community in the church.
Although Rick and Morty.
No, not Rick and Morty. Do not watch Rick and Morty. Do not.
Whatever.
No. The amount of I'm just gonna leave it at that. Although I will say Community, created by the same guy, Dan Harmon. Great TV show. And if the piece of trivia for you, Community was originally directed by the Russo brothers. They went to direct like a bunch of the Avengers films.
Oh.
So those guys who, directed and filmed the Avengers films got their start doing stuff like Community. It's just entertaining.
That's a big jump.
And it shows in some of those earlier TV shows, versions of Community, where it's like the first paintball game. It was like a paintball war.
Huh.
That is like probably one of my favorite episodes still of Community, but we're not talking about Community in that regard. But it is a show I recommend if you want to go watch it, because it is entertaining on so many levels. But anyways, Community in the church. This is something that, okay. Like I personally, I see the importance of community in the church, right? My mother is on the other end of this, where she hates community. She hates being around other people. And don't get me wrong, I understand that concept at times. At other times,
yes,
people are annoying.
Yep. People suck.
Yeah, I remember going up to camp one time. This was back when we still left early and stopped at like McDonald's for breakfast. So, a few years ago now. That was a little while ago now. And it was one of the first times I had ever seen a kiosk at McDonald's. And I walked up. Yeah.
That long ago? Wow.
Yeah. And I walked up to the kiosk and, because the people at the counter were like, oh, just place your order at the kiosk. I was like, good. I hate people. And I started ordering from the kiosk. And Penny goes, are we sure we should be bringing him up?
Right. Is this a good mix for the kids?
And I was saying it pretty facetiously. I was being pretty facetious about it because, I'm by nature a loner. I prefer to not be in groups. I like being around one, maybe two people at max at a time. Big groups cause me to freeze up. Literally. I am not comfortable talking in a big group at all. I force myself to do it because I'm one of the leaders, so I have to do it. So I force myself to do it, but it is not a comfortable thing for me at all.
And speak at conferences.
Not comfortable at all. I'm forcing myself to learn some of these things. And so I get it when my mom's like, I hate community. I hate being around people. People suck. And then she goes on a whole thing about like how people are hypocrites and people are this, that. I'm like, yes, I know. I understand, Mom. I agree with you that people suck at times, but I think community is important, especially in the Christian context. It's more important, not because, it's like, oh, look, we go and we all hug and we all hold hands and go, kumbaya, yay, Jesus, yay. Like the Care Bears or what's that TV show the child's face. Teletubbies.
Teletubbies.
It's not the Teletubbies either. It's we meet as a community for more than a social reason. We meet to help each other out. Hopefully, we meet as a community to grow together and also to share lives together. That's how you work as a community. I know I'm seeing your face right now, and that's hard for me. I'll admit, because again, I don't like the big groups. I don't like being with like 5 million people and like, yay. I like being with, this is going to sound weird, my tribe, so to speak, my 1 or 2 people that I really like being with,
Yes.
or like 1 or 2 people at a time, not being, I'm going to be with 300 people right now. It's like, not happening with me.
Yeah. 300, maybe not. I don't know about that many people.
Even 100 is too much for me to be around at once. It's like, nope. Like more than 2 people around the group at once, and I'm off in other land and saying, nope, I can't do this properly. But that's just me. That's how I work. But I also understand being together in a community is also very important as well. But I recognize that being together allows us to grow in a way, I guess, because I learn how to interact with people that don't think like me, that enjoy being around tons of other people, and I just gonna go, you weird sick people. How do you live with yourself? Should be disgusted, But also at the same time, it's also this is tying into another episode recorded. It ties into good mental health as well. I'm not isolating myself, then I'm being around other people. I'm being with people that need me and I need them to grow properly. It also helps, just seeing those other people, seeing those other perspectives, talking with them and getting to learn, I guess I could say, things that I wouldn't normally know. You have a big group, like a church, you're going to have people who do all sorts of things that you have no idea how to do. And it's great to be able to be like, okay, if I need help with this, I know I can go talk to them. Exactly. Or I can talk to this person, or I can talk to this person and not be, scared of like, oh crap, I don't know how this is going to go. Having a community is helpful in that way too. We can help each other out, share resources, so to speak. In other words, share knowledge with one another.
Yeah.
I need a drummer. I know I can go to Aaron.
Maybe.
If he's not busy doing honky tonk, whatever.
Oh, no. See if I can put you in my very busy schedule.
Or I know I need to get something hauled to my house. I'll be like, hey, Aaron, can you come with your truck? I'll pay your gas.
Dang it. And you're paying for my gas? No. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Each of us have different resources. I'll get called upon to do tech stuff for someone, stuff like that.
Yep.
Stuff like that. So having that community that puts less of a burden on, I guess you could say, the staff of the church to be able to handle everything. You don't have, your pastor doesn't have to be a pastor, plus they don't have to be a plumber, plus a woodworker, plus, a personal taxi and tech support and all this other stuff. They can go, you know what? I don't know that, but I know this person who can do that.
Right. I've got somebody that can handle this.
And by doing that, then you also build those relationships within the community. Maybe someone that I wouldn't talk to because maybe let's say our paths don't cross normally while in church, because I'm in the back running sound stuff and they like us in the front usually, right? But something, hey, we're going to partner work on this project here. Hey, cool. I don't normally work with you. I get to learn some new things about you. I get to meet a new person. And for me, because it's one-on-one, my brain doesn't shut down and say, nope, I can't do this.
Those one-on-one interactions can be so awkward.
Why can they be awkward?
I just like making them awkward.
Oh, I could see that. I could definitely
it'll be like silence for a while, and then I'll try and think of something to talk about, and then I don't know what to talk about. And then I just get weird.
See, when we were up at camp,
Yeah.
I felt like saying to the kids, I am very comfortable being in silence, so I will sit here until one of you talk.
Ooh. Yeah.
Be like,
oh no.
I could be awkward. Don't worry.
Yeah, right.
I am comfortable with my awkwardness. And I think that's also something that helps with the being in a group and community. It helps us to learn our own strengths and learn our own weaknesses as we interact with others.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
It helps us understand who we are and what skills God gave us and what skills God gave other people and to complement. Again, being able to help each other, but also like, hey, you know what? I never thought I was good at X, but you know what? Hey, I like it. I may not be an expert level, but I enjoy it. Maybe you learn a new passion of a new hobby,
Yeah.
a new whatever. So
yeah, absolutely. That's pretty good.
So, I mean, reading through other articles, while I was prepping for this, they, coming across like every website, they all have their list of like, why is community important? And, everyone has something completely different from one another. And it was entertaining to read. Some of them I agree with 100%. Some of them are like, no. Like community gives you the chance to forgive. Like, yeah, I could see that. So what they're trying to get at, the concept is this. Let's say, Aaron,
Yeah.
I did something to offend you, right? All
What
right.
else is new?
I know. So let's say that happens, but maybe Josh then goes, hey, you need to forgive Paul for X, Y, Z. And he goes through and gives you biblical reasons why. And it's not the fact that he's trying to be like, Aaron, shame on you, Bubba. He's trying to say, hey. But at the same time, Josh can go to me and go, Paul, you need to tell Aaron sorry for doing this.
Look what you did, boy.
It's not the whole concept of, I love this concept of like the old little church ladies running around going, did you see what Aaron did? Did you see what Aaron did? Did you see what Paul did? The gossip little ladies, as the very stereotypical thing is. But you're reading through the Bible and it even says, hey, if someone offended, you go to that brother, try to mend it first.
Correct it.
But if you can't, then go to another brother and then you two go to that first one and do that. You can't do that solo. You have to do that in community. So in that way, yes, it does bring about a chance to forgive, just not that direct method that they were talking about. It's that roundabout way where you're trying to do life together. You also got to remember in the early church, they came together to share things. They came together to share resources such as food, things that they need to do, support one another, pray for one another, especially at the time when they would do stuff like, put Christians in the Roman Colosseums for fun.
And watch them get killed.
Yeah, launch them. Watch them
to death.
No, they would bring them up from underground and be like, oh, look, there's lions here for you.
Oh, have fun.
Yeah. Be like, all right, survive the lion attack.
Oh.
And people would be in the Coliseum just cheering for
That's
fun.
so twisted.
Let's go watch the Christians get mauled by lions for funsies.
Man, I think if you hear about that today, that would be like just mind blowing. But no.
Well,
probably not actually.
I say today, after the leak of the justice's opinion on Roe versus Wade and that whole thing, it probably would be right on some people's wish list, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't surprise me at all if some people were like, oh yeah, let's bring back the Colosseums.
Well, I guess I'm trying to think. I mean, obviously there's still persecution now. I'm sure a lot of horrible things happen to people in general, but also Christians that we just don't know about. But certain people have fun with it, that's for sure. That's just ugh. Oh, so messed up. So bad.
What are you?
Oh, No.
Say it.
At least there's community.
Yes, at least there's community.
Nah.
But to be fair, even in modern times, right? Like I said, back in the ancient days, Christians would get together for meals and sharing of resources and that, right? Same thing as modern time too. Being part of a church. Let's say, Aaron, okay, something happens. This is a horrible scenario, okay?
Okay.
Hope this doesn't happen, but again, horrible snenario. Your parents are in an accident. They both die.
Oh, great.
And you're on very financial hard times, and you're about to lose the house and everything else. But if you make like a couple $100 on a payment, you'll be able to keep it, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're alone, and your sister's like, we're tapped out too. We got nothing left to give.
What? No, sister.
There are people in the church people in the church that may be able to help. Be like, hey, look, we got you. We'll get you through this.
Give me some of your money.
And there are also, most churches, at least that I'm aware of, have like money set aside. Like, hey, we got a member who's having issues.
Help them out.
Let's write him a check to help him out. Like at our church, we have a deacon fund that is specifically designed for stuff like that.
Yeah.
A member comes up and says, I can't pay rent this month. And,
right.
Without disclosing to the church where that money went, because the fund is specifically designed to be just given anonymously.
Right.
We can go, okay, we'll help you out. And, we'll do what we, give them money, or be like, I can't pay my electricity. It's going to be cut off at the end of the month. That happens. People fall in hard times.
Live without it for a bit.
Yeah, try to do that in the middle of like summer. I wouldn't say winter, because during winter they can't shut off electricity in Wisconsin.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yep. There's a moratorium in Wisconsin from sometime in November. I think it's the middle of November till March, where even if you don't pay your bill, they can't shut off your electricity.
Wow.
But come March, you don't have your bill paid up. There goes your electricity. That's why I said middle of summer. They come and go, it's middle of summer, and they go, I can't pay electricity. It's about to be cut off. I need da-da-da.
Wow.
And the church can go, hey, you know what? Let's see what we can do. Community in that way is good in that way. Sharing that load, sharing that burden, helping everyone else in the community.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Which is great. And that's definitely something that I was like, yeah, that's yay. Another thing that's good for is, well, we got stuff like, what does that look for?
I was just gonna see what you're gonna say next.
Oh, we got stuff like, Sunday school and Awana and youth group and that stuff for the family, for growth and development. We also, in the past, I imagine this will start up again soon, like Sunday school for the adults after service and stuff like that. We have those
education stuff.
Exactly. We have those things for the growth of the members as well. So not only do we have the growth, we have the support for things. We have, we care for our members. We help share knowledge and the burden and the load and everything. So those are all very important things in normal everyday life, which I think are very impactful and important. I remember we did a youth group. Oh, geez. Youth group camp years ago. I don't think I have the shirt anymore. The Wild West one.
Yeah.
But the concept was, you don't see old solo cowboys.
Yeah, the Lone Ranger dudes.
Yeah, you don't see old of them, because eventually, they're going to slow down. They're going to get old. They got no one to watch their back. They're going to be killed.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same with a pack of animals, be it wolves or whatever your favorite animal in the world is.
But to be a lone wolf.
But that lone wolf will only last for so long before the younger lone wolf will catch up with them and take them over and destroy them. And that's the same in the church too. You try to be alone for so long, it's going to get harder and harder and harder to live. It is destructive. I'm not even talking about if you're suffering from depression or anything. I'm just talking about just life in general.
Yeah.
Trying to be like, okay, I'm not going to get any help. Heck, what would I do with my dog half the time? Even it's something as simple as that.
Right.
You know, you think about other people who have kids and who are like, I would kill to have a night out. You know, once they have kids, be like, well, they can drop it off at Jeez Louise, not it. the kids off at their parents for a date night or something
Yes,
like that.
parents' house.
You know,
Not
parents'
friend's
house.
house. Parents' house.
No, they'll drop it off at Uncle Aaron's house.
No.
Uncle Aaron's daycare is now open.
Someday. I'm going to have to put a vault door on my music room.
But, you know, stuff like that, you know, simple things like, oh, yeah, you know, you're going to be out of town. I'll watch your dog. Or, oh, yeah, you'll be on a date night. We'll watch your kids. Things like that. Things that are simple, but yet so profound and so impactful in other people's lives.
Yeah, that goes a long way. Yeah, I mean, it goes a long way helping out. The other, I guess, would accountability be a thing for in community?
Yes.
To a point.
Yes.
Obviously, it doesn't have to be me being held accountable. Well, I guess it depends on what it is. But like me being held accountable to the congregation. Because, I mean, depending on the position, I mean, you kind of have to be held accountable by the church,
right,
family. But then obviously then there's still other things that are more on a private level. But
yeah, even laymen. Do you know what I mean by layman, right?
not at the moment, no.
So layman is like a term for the everyday person in the church.
Oh, okay.
The non-pastor, the non, you know, teaching person of the church.
Yes.
You know, so I'm a layman. I'm not a
layman.
I'm not a teacher or whatever. So yes, being accountable is definitely something that the layman does need. Doesn't necessarily mean, you know, be like, okay, Aaron, we're going to upload your entire computer internet search history to everyone in the church for everyone to see. No, that's not what it means. That's not what it means at all.
Can only show up to the last month. Just kidding. But even the pastor could be held accountable, though.
Right. Yes. So I was getting at different layers.
Okay.
So
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. The layman doesn't need to be accountable to everyone else in the church, right?
Oh, right.
You're going to have smaller communities that form out of that larger community.
Yes.
So, for example, me, you, and Josh.
Yep.
That's a smaller community that formed out of that larger community.
Yep.
That's still community.
Yes.
And in that community, because here's the thing, when you have a smaller community, it's different than the larger community.
Absolutely.
Because in the smaller community, me and you and Josh have had, you know, conversations about various things, be it temptations, be it what we're struggling with, what we're dealing with, you know, those sort of things. So those conversations you don't necessarily have in that larger group, but you need that larger group to find your smaller group.
Right. See, and just get more personal with each other.
Right. Because you can't be personal with a large group.
You could. But then there's always going to be There's always going to be a smaller group that you will be more personal with.
You can share personal information with a large group, but you won't be personal with them.
That's true. That's different. There's a difference.
There's a slight difference in that. In other words, you could share your search history, you could share screenshots of your computer, you could share what's going on your phone with a large group, and they could all look at it, and there'll be a lot of people going to be like, I don't care. I don't know this guy.
You should care, dang it.
But that happens within the context of a smaller group, me, you, Josh.
Yeah.
It's, hey, good job, Aaron. Or, hey, Aaron, why did this happen? You know, and the same thing, you say that with me and you say that with Josh.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You know, where you have that smaller group and you're willing to have those conversations that go off the rail and will never be ever repeated on any sort of recorded medium. Why are you laughing?
I'm just thinking the whole recorded part, you, me, and Josh, and just talking, especially when we're getting ready to record stuff.
Yeah, and those are the milder conversations. I'm talking about some of the other more off the wall ones, you know. But
that's scary.
But those conversations can't be had unless there's some level of trust involved.
Yes.
And that's what you need in that community.
Mhm.
And that's why it's important, because you're not going to be able to grow. I'm not going to be able to grow. No one
That is
is going to be able to grow unless they have other people that they can trust to have those conversations with, that they might go, if I try to bring this up with this other person in the larger community at large, they're going to go, what sort of psychopath are you? And
what is wrong with
go
you?
away.
Go pray or something, or go read your Bible a little bit.
Yes.
Come back when you're ready to talk.
Exactly. Those sort of conversations. And you just kind of sit there and go, uh-oh.
Well, that wasn't helpful.
Yeah, that wasn't useful
Right.
at all.
No.
So those are the things, and that's why community is important in that regard, because then it keeps you, it allows you an outlet to have those conversations that you normally would not have with just a random stranger.
Right.
And to get answers, I hate that I'm using this phrase, in a safe space. I know. But
Balls woke.
No, I'm not. To get those answers in a safe space where you can bring up those topics and not just immediately, hopefully, I'll say this, hopefully, not just immediately go, there's the door, get out.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
because I can't tell you the number of off the wall things that you have said, or even I've said at times, where either one of us didn't point at the air and go, get out.
Is that too far?
Where someone else might have gone, out. I can think of a few off the top of my head where that might have happened with certain people. So that's why it is important for a community to be established.
So yeah, there's
And why you got to deal, like why even someone who just hates being in a group of people, deal with it and suffer through it. That sounds weird. Suffer through it every week.
Right now I know how it feels hanging out with you. Oh man.
What?
Or know how it feels for you to hang out with me. Oh yeah.
What do you mean for me to hang out with you?
Just kidding.
Okay, I was like, wait, what?
But I mean, then it's the whole iron sharpens iron. Iron.
Iron sharpens iron.
Sharpens iron.
I cannot talk today.
Dude,
Wow. It has
it's-
been a horrible day with me and my English.
It's
English.
just it's the nice. It is so cold down here.
I
and
know,
It's so
trust me.
warm outside. About to bust open a window over here.
But
yeah, without there'd be no no growth, no learning. Well, there might be some learning, but not.
it would be a lot slower.
Yes.
You know, you bring up that whole iron sharpens iron thing.
Yeah.
You know, that's from where?
Oh, frick. Yeah, somewhere in the Bible it says that.
Wow, good job.
Which iron sharpens Byron. Proverbs 27:17. Iron sharpens iron, and one man sharpens another. Yeah.
Yep. So so that's like you said, that's from Proverbs 27:17.
And then another verse that came up that I thought was pretty cool is, if iron is blunt and one does not sharpen the edge, he must use more strength. But wisdom helps one to succeed. I don't know why, but that made me think of, because obviously in community, there's people from different ages.
Yep.
It doesn't even necessarily have to be different ages all the time to have. You don't have to be older to be wiser. That's not always the case, but generally it is. So it's like in those cases, I mean, you can have the older people that have more wisdom to help teach the younger people
Exactly.
on whatever it is that's going on in life, to give some advice, wisdom on a situation.
Yes, that is actually a very good part of it.
Yeah.
Because being able to learn from older people's mistakes and things they did right is beneficial for those of us. Well, I can't even include myself in that. I can't go with those of us younger. Well, no, there are older people than me that I can learn from still. But, the rest of us, we can learn from other people's, their mistakes, what they've done right in that. But we can also learn from their wisdom as they've gone older and seek their counsel
Yeah.
on things. So we're not trying to reinvent the wheel every single time, because
even though that probably is what's going to happen the majority of the time.
I know, but we can do
But
that.
there's always that
And we can always,
chance.
what was I gonna say? We can always have those conversations with people who have seen, they've seen the Great Depression, they've seen the 1920s, they've seen stuff like that. If they're still
As I
alive,
say, that's to think about that. There's probably not a ton left for those that are from that time.
yeah.
It's few and far between.
But you can hear those stories of how things have happened in the past
Mhm.
and how they mirror what's happening now, or what's happening now is a
Sort of
reflection of
repeat.
that.
Yeah.
That old Battlestar Galactica idea that what has happened in the past will happen again.
Yep.
And it's like, oh yeah, okay.
History is bound to repeat itself.
So you just have these things keep on going and going and going, and you can learn from them,
Hopefully.
or be like, hey, let's say you're a newlywed, find that couple that's been married, 40 years in the church,
Ask somebody.
take them out to dinner and be like, what's your advice?
Right.
What have you done?
What was your trick? What did you do?
Yeah, exactly. What did you do? What could we learn from you? And it doesn't necessarily have to be a one-time thing. A lot of people want to just say like, hey, you know what? Old people, we don't need them. But
But
they
we
bring a lot of
do.
wisdom to the church. And guess what? If we're not in community, if we're not with the group of people, we're never going to be able to encounter those people who have different worldviews, who have lived through different times, who have lived through craziness.
Mhm.
I guarantee you, anything that you think that you're going through, someone else has already gone through.
Oh yeah.
None of us, as much as we'd like to think this, none of us are unique in that regard.
No. No.
And we all do something that someone else has done. And guess what? More likely, especially if it's something painful, hurtful, that they've gone through, more likely they'll be like, hey, I want to talk to you about what just happened. Here's what I did to get over this. Here's what I did to get around this and to learn from this. But here's the weird part about this then. You, as a member of the community, have to be open to helping those younger than you or going through the same thing as you with giving advice and giving wisdom. It's weird when you think about that, right? When you're at your age.
Yeah.
But now I'm at my age and I look at you and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's easy, to think about, because
Right.
I could think, you're 12 years younger. I can easily go, okay, this is how I've, tried to feed into you. And now starting to see little glimpses of you starting to do that.
The tables are turning.
And, to the teenage kids. And it's just like, all right, I was successful.
Didn't go so bad.
Because I'm starting to see you do the same exact thing back.
No, that's good. It's needed.
It is.
Yeah.
And I hate to say this, but we especially need men to step up and do that too. A lot of teens these days are, as we talked about in the book, suffering from fatherlessness and they need male role models.
Right.
There's this big thing in the gay community where there a lot, I guess you could say, younger guys have daddy issues, essentially, like father issues. Father wasn't around, father was abusive, father wasn't in their lives and that. And so what do? They seek other people to fill that father figure in their lives, and that ends up getting them abused. That also happens with other people, even in straight dating community, where people might have father issues and not know how then to treat other people, either of the opposite gender or whatnot.
Huh.
When I was dating one person, hey, this is Paul. real quick, I actually jumped in here and pulled out both the person's name that I was dating. I didn't want her name out in the public eye. She never agreed to be part of any of this. And I also pulled out her dad's name as well, since obviously if she didn't agree to it, he didn't agree to it. And it was a little while ago. And I have no hard feelings against them. So that's why it seems to kind of break up here for a second and why skipping over some things there. Just want to make that note real clear. He's like, oh, so your dad teach you how to date women? I was like, Dad, when I was 14, he's like, oh, so you don't know how to be a man? I was like, okay.
Well, then.
And he was a little abrasive on how he said it, right?
Mhm.
But he's like, okay, here's what you need to learn on how to deal with this and how to not have, he goes, not to have daddy issues while dating my daughter. He goes, because that manifests in guys in different ways. Like, you may try to seek approval from guys older than you. You might try to seek approval from these quote unquote dad figures in your life. That approval that you never got as a kid.
Mhm.
So it could be different things. That's what I said. Where I've read about it and know about it, that happens where it creates a lot of abuses in the gay community, but it still happens in the straight community where these guys go, I need your approval. I need your approval. I need your approval. Because maybe these are older men. They don't know how to be complete in themselves. And they were never plugged into a community
Huh.
to have that. So that's why it's important. I look at, the youth group and that it's like where, someone goes, hey, you know what? I just made state on this, or I just did this. And it's one of those things of where I could just sit back and go and not say anything, but I try to make it a deal of going, hey, good job on doing this or doing that, because they feel proud about it. I want them to know that I feel proud for them as well about it
That.
and reinforce it. So that way it's not like they go, well, I never got approval as a
Big ol'
kid.
pat on the back.
It seems like nothing. It seems like just something so minor, but it is actually
The
real
impact
important.
it has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I look back at myself and yeah, I can see that in myself at times when I needed to have that approval from other guys, that are older than me. And like, hey, yeah, you're doing right. Yeah, you're doing good. And we talked about it with my therapist and that, and it was like, yeah, you never got the whole, thing from your dad about, and we talked about the various stages of approval that a young guy goes through and gets approval from his dad and all that stuff. She's like, you never got that. She's like, I could see why you would need that from these other people in your life. And I was like, okay.
What the heck? Interesting. I've never thought of that, really.
Yeah, and that's the thing a lot of people, and I'm not, saying anything bad or anything, but like you have your dad around in that. So,
Yeah.
even though he may not have said, Aaron, I'm proud of you on
Proud
this
of
or
you,
this,
boy.
but he probably at least congratulated you on stuff when you did something right or got a good achievement or stuff like that. So you got that sense of accomplishment and pride and the completeness from there.
Yeah.
So that's why, all this to say, come back and say this. That's why that community, especially for those guys who maybe grew up without a father or those women who grew up without mothers, that's why they need a community of other people of their own gender to feel safe to be vulnerable in, but also to be like, have someone else to celebrate with them when they have an accomplishment. It may seem like something so minor, be like, why is that guy wanting to celebrate this? It's nothing. It's seriously
It's not a big deal. It's
not a big deal.
dumb.
But maybe for them, it is a big deal. Maybe they need someone else to remind them because they're still learning and not mature enough where they still are needing that external approval. They can't live with just the internal approval yet. That takes maturity and time. Maybe sometimes you have to help them as your friend, as part of their community, help them learn that over time. Because that is a sign of maturing as well, is learning how to live with that, just that internal approval, not needing external approval on everything.
Right.
And I'll admit that probably took me longer than it should have. Can I blame the fact that my dad passed away? Sure, I could throw all the blame on that, but guess what? Ultimately, the buck stops with me, and I had to grow up and learn how to do that myself. And I would not have been able to do that without community.
No. At least not for a very long time.
Yeah. So, that's why especially people who don't have a parent or, whatever, they need that community. They need to figure out who they are, not being dependent on that community for all of their approval and everything, but that gives them some sort of grounded basis for them to be like, to help them get over that temporary learning and maturity area where they may still need to grow.
Community is pretty important.
Yeah. A little more important than most people realize.
Right. Well, that's one thing that like makes me nervous about probably more so like the younger folk, at least for younger people that were involved at church or a part of churches, especially when the whole Rona stuff hit. Since everything went online and streaming and all that stuff, it's like I wonder how many people still just stay at home like, oh, I can go to church from home now and be comfy. And
yeah, and it's good in that regard, especially like if you're an older person or immunocompromised or something like that. You have a good reason. I understand.
but community is still important.
Community is important, and there might be other ways. And I will say this as well: the church needs to find a way to still interact with those people. The onus is not only on the person; it's
No.
also on the church.
Yeah. Right.
So I mean, it's a two-way street. It's not one or the other. It's both. Need to find a way on how to do community together. And there are tools out there. It's just, do you want to use those tools or not? And a lot of the tools are geared towards the internet. So some of the older people are not going to know how to use it as
Right,
well and all that fun stuff.
So for the most part, like the younger people, I guess I would almost say that probably don't need the church as much to reach out to them. It's more the older people that don't know.
How to do tech.
Yes.
Yeah. So
That need the most help.
so yes, community definitely crazy important.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only going to get more important as,
You have to stick together.
well, I'm saying as the craziness of the world just
Yes.
continues to escalate and go sideways and everything.
Yeah. Because once I say if you separate the body, then it's just all over from there
So this will be
for the most part.
this will be entertaining to watch as life goes on, because it's only going to get more and more divided going forward in the church and the body. We don't have to agree 100% on everything, but we have to agree enough to love one another, to stick by one another, and to support one another through the thick and the thin. We can disagree on stuff like cars and all that other stuff. We can disagree politically on who we vote for. We can disagree on, candidate, on what positions we like in a candidate and that. We can disagree on, hey, should Trump be back on Twitter or not? We can disagree on, Trump a good president or not. We can disagree on or agree on
Can't eat pork anymore.
about Biden and that. But when it comes to the crucial elements of agreement, like stuff about scripture, about the doctrine of Christ,
Salvation and stuff like that.
that we stick together on.
Yep.
Yeah, we might have, slight differences theologically, but not so much that can't be overcome by Christ. And because of Christ, then we stick together as a community. Because of Christ, then we help each other out, even if we disagree with one another. And because of Christ, we love one another unconditionally.
Hopefully.
Well, hopefully, yes.
Yeah.
But because of Christ, we should.
We can.
And you know what?
The Holy Spirit.
Yes. I'm gonna strike that. Not we should. We must.
Must. Yeah.